together. They had a thought process that went into all of that. By the way, the Patriots are going to need a whole lot of stuff quarterback wise. I think they should take that Trask kid out of Georgia. He's a kid that the hoodie can do something with.
Yeah, Kyle Trask from Florida.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Florida. Yes.
No, that's right. Yeah, I was going to say, just we're going to talk about that game real quick.
Yep.
Again, another guy who's very young at quarterback. Obviously, Sam Darnold's going to be going somewhere. I don't know where. It'll be intriguing to see where he goes. And I think he can be reclamated. I think he was just in such a bad situation. I don't know who will turn him around. I think someone can. I will also just say, speaking of quarterbacks that game, it was a nice swan song for Cam Newton. I don't think he's coming back, but
Yeah.
it was nice.
You're probably right.
He,
he won't be re-signed anywhere, will he?
I mean, yeah, he might be walking off in the sunset, but I mean, at least have a nice send off to possibly a career.
Yep.
It was, I mean, he did everything. He had 242 yards passing, 3 touchdown passes, 79 yards rushing. They had a 19-yard receiving touchdown. So they did everything to essentially say, hey, thanks for what you did this year. See you later.
Godspeed, Cam. Godspeed. Yep.
But I was going to say, going back to the Dolphins losing, it opened up the door for the Colts, which they were projected to be a 14 favorite win. And damn, I mean, I don't bet, but damn, it looked for like real late into the game. They were going to cover that. But why they have problems with the Jaguars, I have no idea. But it came down to their second-round draft pick, Jonathan Taylor.
Yes, sir.
Has been an absolute stud in the second half of the season. Had over 1,100 yards rushing for the year, 253 yards rushing, 2 TDs. Like, just abused Jacksonville. Also, just a great year for Chris Ballard. He drafted him. He also traded for DeForest Buckner. He had 2 sacks today, and just had Mike Glennon on roller skates the whole day.
Mike Glennon, wow! How many teams has he played for?
Too many.
Several.
Yeah, maybe not enough so far.
But I'm sorry, the Colts, they're not going anywhere in the playoffs.
Well, they're gonna Bills up first, so there you go.
They're done. Or it wouldn't matter. No matter who the Colts play, they're not winning a playoff game. You got to get rid of Philip Rivers. Just do it.
But if you can run the ball, and let me just say this about Jonathan Taylor, only the second Colt in history to get 200 yards in a game other than the Edgerrin James. If they can control the clock and run the ball, that's how you can beat anybody.
Yeah, but when Edgerrin was there and he did his bit, you had Peyton Manning who could throw the ball at that point, and so I'm not a fan of your boy.
Moon Rivers.
Yeah.
Obviously, I like Rivers, but I will give this to Lugs. It'll be intriguing because maybe they trade for Carson Wentz. Maybe they trade for – obviously, it'll be a lot cheaper. Maybe they trade for Sam Darnold. Like, maybe they believe they can reclamate him. Maybe Stafford gets cut and they get to grab Stafford. Maybe Matt Ryan's on the market. We don't know. I mean, there's probably going to be a good quarterback who's able to be traded for or is just outright released that they can grab who might be better than Philip Rivers. I will agree with Lugs on that.
And what you have to appreciate, I think, about the Colts is the head coach, Frank. He does what he does with whatever he's dealt. And he had no quarterback. He had luck. Then he's got Rivers. He's done pretty well for a short time there. I like him.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of Jacksonville, I think they have a nucleus of a team when you look at them. And they also have an amazing amount of cap space. They can, and if they get Trevor Lawrence and get themselves a good receiver.
They've got great draft picks coming too. Right.
Yeah.
Great numbers.
So I think, that can transition. We can transition in if we want to about coaches and who's going to go where. I think the LA Chargers is the premier job. I mean, if you walk in there with Justin Herbert and the talent they have on defense, that's a good place to go.
Yep.
So
that's I think that's the number one job that's available.
Yeah.
Because you have Herbert just entering his rookie year. Keenan Allen's under contract. Hunter Henry, I believe, is under contract. Joey Bosa is still on his rookie contract. Derwin James is still on his rookie contract. You have talent, a high-level talent on both sides of the – they just needed a coach. I mean, like I said, I'm not saying Nathan Lynn's not a nice guy. I'm not saying he's probably a good maybe offensive coordinator or whatnot. They had too many games where they had bad decisions. I mean, they went on a 4-game winning streak at the end of the year. There were multiple wins they outright lost because of coaching. So,
and I would say
clock management was the problem for a couple of those.
And I would say Jax is the number 2 most desirable job. No expectations. You've got the number 1 draft pick. So there's talk of Urban Meyer. What do you guys make of that being the Jacksonville Jaguars next? Excuse me, London Jaguars next coach?
I'm not an Urban Meyer fan. I just am not.
All he does is win, Lugs. He just wins, baby.
And in college.
Baby.
In college.
Yeah, true.
I don't think he has the mindset to handle pro players. I don't know.
I will give this to what Lug's saying, which I do believe. And again, to be fair, I'm not going to give enough credit to Urban Meyer as a strategist. Because again, that's the thing with Matt Rule. People would be like, well, Matt Rule, I think Matt Rule will be very successful. Mm-hmm. But I think the big difference between Matt Rule and Urban Meyer is Matt Rule really took not maybe possibly high-level talent and developed it. And I think you'll see that with Carolina. And also I just think he's a better X's and O coach. And also he does have a background, even though it's maybe not many years, but he does have a background in the NFL where I don't know if Urban Meyer does. And as great as Saban is, Saban's probably the greatest college coach in history. We saw him at Miami, and obviously they missed on the quarterback. You know, you're not going to have the huge talent advantage. You're going to have to out-scheme guys. And I think, obviously, Saban can. And I don't think Urban Meyer is the level of a coach like X's O's is Saban. So, I don't know. I find it to be a very bizarre. It's probably going to be a hire if he's willing to take the money. They're supposedly offering $12 million a year.
Right.
Or that's what he wants. So
back to the games. We're coming up to Super Wild Card Weekend, they're calling it. Who do you like on this deal? Who's rolling? Who's folding?
I think if you go AFC, I think you still have to hang with Kansas City as far as the overall winner. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, if you want to go down each game and make predictions, that's cool.
I think he was talking about since KC will be on bye, he was talking about them. But
okay.
I'll say the main one I'll point out that'll be I don't even know if a lot of people think it was upset. The one team that's a wild card team that it didn't win the division that I say watch out for is the Ravens.
Yeah, I agree with that.
On a roll, baby. On a roll.
And particularly, they're playing the Titans, the team that beat them in the playoffs last year.
Yep.
And if you remember, they played each other this year, in which the Titans won. That game was extremely chippy, in which both the coaches shook hands, but you can clearly tell John Harbaugh did not want to touch hands Mike Vrabel. It'll be probably the most fascinating game of the wild card weekend, I think.
Good point. Yeah. That's exciting.
Yeah.
And Lamar, he looked really good. My only concern with Lamar is when he takes off, somebody ends up putting a lick on him. But it's who he is, so I guess you got to let him be who he is. But he stayed in the pocket, and he moved around just enough to get passes off. I was impressed. The people who say that Lamar can't get it done with his arm, no, they're wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
I think I think the Ravens are the big one. I think even though I'm glad they finally made the playoffs since 2002, the Browns.
Yeah.
I think you look how close that game was with Mason Rudolph playing.
You talk about backing into the playoffs.
Limping in with one leg.
And the thing the other bad to worst thing for the Browns is Olivier Vernon, their second best pass rusher. He tore his Achilles, so he's out for the game too. And if you have problems against Mason Rudolph, Big Ben's going to tear you apart. I mean, and also a lot of T.J. Watt didn't play, and that I'm glad the Browns made it, but it's probably going to be a short trip in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they won't. They may score 10 points.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it'll be like 35-10 Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and to be fair, going back to Lugs's point in terms of like the Colts not having longs, Colts are a good team. It's unfortunate though they're playing the hottest team. Buffalo Bills are the hottest team. They're the strongest team entering the playoffs. And, again, like we saw with KC, maybe KC can do what they have done in the playoffs last year and most of this year where they can flip a switch. Bills aren't even flipping the switch. They're coming in, they're bashing people's brains in, and then they're stomping all their entrails deep into the ground. That's what they're doing. So they're the hottest team. They will like I said, I love the Colts. I'm glad they made the playoffs. It's going to be a short trip for them as well.
Well, that's game one Saturday at 1, Colts, Bills. Then you got Rams, Seahawks, and Buccaneers, Washington Football Club. Good stuff. Good games.
Buccaneers should win that against Washington unless Washington comes up with some serious offense.
Okay. What about that defense on Washington? They could.
I'm impressed with them, and if they can make
get to Brady,
make Brady move off his little pad back there, then they've got a shot.
And also the injury to Mike Evans. I mean, obviously they said it was just a hyperextension, but there's a chance he doesn't play. So, I mean, that's another weapon they don't have. I mean, again, Buffalo legitimately is playing hot. It's weird. Tampa has obviously looked good the last 3 games, but they played Atlanta twice, which they've played better under Raheem Morris once they fired Quinn. And then the Lions game was a whole fiasco where most of the coaching staff wasn't even there, on top of not having personnel.
So you said they've had some gimmies, some chip shots, huh?
Yeah, I don't even know what they are. So it's weird. Like people are talking about how great Brady's looking. It's like he hasn't played any defense this last 3 weeks. So I mean, Washington will be a rude awakening. Like they probably win, but it's not going to be this Brady who's thrown for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. So.
No, and Seahawks should take that. I mean, LA Rams, what can they do? You know,
I think they just ran out of people. I mean, Cam Akers played. He's clearly not close to even like probably 60%. Malcolm Brown is a solid running back, but they need some juice. I mean, not that we're really going to go down this, but I think John Wolford, I mean, not that he says he's a long-term answer, but I mean, it makes you feel like, man, we gave way too much money to
Goff
because he didn't play that bad. I mean, Wolford didn't play that bad.
Serviceable, manageable.
Yeah, I mean the pick was bad, but after that, I mean he was their leading rusher, which again it goes to at least Lug's point. That's not good that he's the leading rusher in that game. But I will say,
yes,
Seahawks are weird because against a 49ers team, and obviously I think 49ers are well coached by Kyle Shanahan and Saleh.
And another team that just ran out of people.
Yeah. It took Russell Wilson conjuring up some of that let Russ cook late in the fourth quarter.
You're right.
Where they were down 6-16, and he scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to give them a lead with 2:20 left against, like a ravaged. So it's like, how much confidence do I have in the Seahawks? Again, they're winning, and they're playing like old school Seahawks. They've mutated back into what they used to be. I don't know if you want to say they regressed or they evolved. I don't know. But
but they're not the Legion of Boom the way they once were. But they're doing some hits out there. You know, they're gang tackling. I was impressed by that.
Yeah. So I still think they're a scary team. It's just it's like the Seahawks of old. Like you're like they're gonna play teams close.
Chameleon.
And yeah, they'll lose close or win close. You're never gonna feel like, oh, this is gonna be a team that just steamrolls.
Sunday games: Ravens, Titans, Bears, Saints, Browns, Steelers.